What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thanksgiving to everybody north of the border up in Canada. Hope you guys are enjoying your holiday. The Canadian Thanksgiving different than the American Thanksgiving. And if you ask Canadians why our Thanksgivings are the different days, because in November we have nothing to be thankful for. But right now we do Monday. Packed card in NHL. We got a Monday night football where we'll be going live with the stars of the sports cake here, live betting at Sportsbook Review. And we got playoff baseball. It's all coming together. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. DX Filer showing that hustle. First in the chat. Nasty Nate in the house. Manny Sanchez says, NHL, anyone some early games? Ottawa playing large. Yes, I'm very excited to break down all these games. In 48 minutes, we're going to be joined by Teddy Covers. So in the meantime, we're going to hammer this NHL card in its entirety. And then from that point, we're going to move on to baseball and NFL. We will ask Teddy about both of those things. Shout out to Yenny Toon. Says, I have a good weekend finally. 7-2 overall. College football and pro. Falcons. Memphis got me. I'm done with Falcons this season. Oh my God, they're bad. What a horrible game that was to watch. I lost on them too. I went 4-2 on official plays, but 3-2-1. I bet because I got in that under in the Pittsburgh Chargers game very early, and I got bet 41, got it 41.5 on the show, but bet it at 41. That was a mistake. Went up to 42, 42.5. Very disappointing. My leans. This is the second week in a row where my leans were like as good as they've ever been in my life. And then my last two 5-star plays that I didn't add were the Titans under and the Steelers +6. So, it's been a tough year so far, but I'm certain that we're going to come out of it. And we're on our way. I've already taken the over 45 at -115 in the game tonight. I took that this morning. We're going to talk more about that. Manny Sanchez, Yanni Toon, Freestyle, Fakiri says, I'm on Buffalo, Edmonton, and Colorado. Yellow Jesus has grabbed that Ducks under a plus money last night. Great job. I was going to take the Bruins on the puck line, and I've slowed up. I've held off. Ducks have been off since Friday. We're going to break down each and every one of these games. Omar J. Leonard said, what up, Jimmy? Who's your straight in hockey today? Who's your lock? We got daytime hockey hustlers. I love it. Manny Sanchez, Silver Malco, Greg Matson says, happy Monday, fellas. Amazing, terrific football weekend besides the Chargers. Ron Crawford, NHL spreadsheet, Washington and Buffalo. I will copy and paste that right now. Thank you for sharing that with us. Eric Nisbet in the house says, keep pounding these baseball unders. And that's something that Noli knows does so well come playoff time. Guillermo in the house. Love it. Guillermo gave me a winner at Santa Anita. It was just a beautiful, beautiful gray horse. Sarah Gray, I think her name was. Guillermo, thank you for that. Also, David H. was handing me thoroughbred winners all weekend long, so my account is starting to get juiced up for the breeders, which I like very much. Ski Profit in the house. Angus Finley ready to get to work. Luis Fernando Esquinza. We got Cobra Sports 609. Prince of the City fading his Eagles. Spectacular. And he also took it on the alternative line. Unbelievably great work. Levi Crest says, Jimmy, this is not gambling related at all. I traveled from Pennsylvania to Iowa for the game Saturday night. Waved to the kids in the hospital. One of the coolest things I've ever done. What a moment. Wow. That is very cool, Levi Kressler. Very, very, very cool. And respect for that. Mally Mal, Dustin H., Dom, Ricci, Eddie Euler, Bob Berube, Rem Moses. I'm in the Final Four in the SBR Totals Only Survivor Contest. Said, Jimmy, do I have to pay to become an SBR Pro? Pro wins $1,000. Non-pro gets $500. Well, you have to donate. You have to donate $100 to Sick Kids. So if you do that through our site, I would get on that before... I would get on that soon. And they'll pay back. Even if you get $0 here, you'll be able to make that money back through our free contests and all that stuff. So, yes, you have to donate $100 to Sick Kids. Malik Ogburn, Eddie Euler, Eric Nisbet, CR says, I'm liking NHL today. Yes, I am too. Ronnie Christie says, happy Thanksgiving, Jimmy. I wish I was up north of the border rolling with you guys. Robbie Tops, Ukraine versus Portugal. Correct score, 2-1 Ukraine. Ooh, going to copy and paste that, Robbie Tops. Thank you for sharing your action and hard work with us. There we go, copy and paste. Barry in the house of favorites that covered every Monday night game excluding week 1. There's Nut Flush Allen in the house. Says, keep thinking Nats. I love it. We got 30-1 and 40-1. Our guy Nut Flush Allen with that serious business in the house. Top set. Von Polo, Ben Sports 24/7, Jeremy Williams, Jimmy Gomez, Carlos Peroge. What a great group. Raven in the Desert. Man, I got to get on Raven in the Desert small schools earlier in the week. So NCAA football went poorly for me. Went very poorly for me. And of course, I still picked one Pac-12 game to lose on. Unbelievable. Eddie always says, great weekend for me with totals. Oregon under 62, Wisconsin under 40.5, Minnesota under 49, Tennessee, Denver under 41. Maybe the easiest of all. I can't believe I didn't reach out for more. I guess just when you're winning, you go after plays that you love the angles. When you're losing, you're hesitant. Eddie Oiler said, Jimmy, those pics on your Twitter page are hilarious. Jimmy, those pics on your Twitter page are hilarious. What do you mean? Like you on the Hurricanes? What do you mean? What the hell's going on my Twitter page? What the hell are you talking about? Let me just check on my Twitter page right now. Oh, the pictures. Okay, sorry. I was like, man, what's Eddie Oiler cutting me down right in the heart? Okay, sorry, the pictures. PICS, rather not PICKS, where I was gonna be like, man, when did Eddie Oiler go against me? Look at Animeric, 5-2 in UFC, gave out some cash love here and now. Okay, let's get to work right now. Gate Paskey said, Jimmy didn't have a great NFL day, but took a pit squared parlay. Penn Steelers parlay saved me. Was nervous near the end. Great job. Okay, yeah. So let's go over some of what happened for me. And 3-6. Sadly, in NCAA football, so not good there. NFL was 4-2, but 3-2-1 with my bets, and the leans were. I know we're in the right spot there. Al Mack swept CFL, swept every game in CFL, and Kelly McMillan and Al Mack working together got me on a couple spots. So I went 3-0 in CFL. That was $400 that I needed. I lost both my bets in baseball, so my baseball swoon continues in the playoffs. I went 0-2. So we have all those records ready to go. And we will talk about all those records as we move forward. Let's get to work. There's Brian Watson. There's Alec Holligan ready to go. Love seeing Alec Holligan here. Mr. Mississippi Razor made money. We got Antoine Seymour in the house. Jeff Murillo, Joe DeLeon. All right, so let's start by showing this NHL record, which is fine for early in season. NHL's a tricky in early season, even though it really hasn't been. It really hasn't been that tricky. Maybe I'm just traditionally I struggle in these times, so maybe I'm making it more difficult than it is. Okay, let's talk Ducks Bruins. Let's look at market moves and let's make moves on this NHL card and get rolling. Ducks Bruins. This total opened up at 5.5 and it's now at 5. So it's just been hammered. So it opened at under 5.5 minus 126, and Pinnacle's already moved that to 5. So has 5 Dimes moved that to 5. Intertops 5. U-Wager 5. Heritage 5. The rest of the books are at 5.5, juiced heavy. So if you want the under 5.5, it's minus 143. And the Bruins are taking money, minus 185, now minus 194 at Pinnacle, but there's 220s now at the other books. And I get it, but Nally Malon Bruins minus 1.5, and I almost did that earlier. There's Matt Randall in the house. Says 0-4 Monday plays and lost the weekend Tain as well. Matt Randall, that happens. It ebbs, it flows. We're going to get back at it. Stronger. A. Haley says, what up, Jimmy? That LSU game was crazy on Saturday. Yeah, thankfully, very thankful that covered, because I went 3-6, very ugly. I was 2-1 and then went 1-5 my last games. Okay, let's talk Ducks Bruins. Let's break this down. So Ducks have got a nice start to the season. 4-1-0, 2-1-0 on the road. Bruins 4-1-0, came back and won at home. It was just that last game against Colorado, their road trip, that they lost. Gibson, Rask. When we go over the goalies, I'm not sure. We don't know exactly who's going to be on, so please let me know if I'm right or wrong. Let me just refresh this and see if we know now who is in goal for some of these spots, because I've got, we have Anderson confirmed there. Okay, I've got Bobrovsky and Schneider confirmed. Halak, see right there. Halak will be in that. Okay, Halak against Gibson. Halak's had a nice start to the year. But still, if you're going to back these Bruins, you probably want Rask in goal. Ronnie Christie said, I was thinking of hammering Bruins. Halak played great in matinee games last year. Mr. Gokes says, I was hoping to get more of a minus 10 on the 5.5 in the Ducks-Bruins game. Still might take it. Eddie Oler liking Ducks-Bruins under 5. Lamont Williams won big with LSU. Love hearing that. Okay, so Mr. Barry says my book has a total at 5. It's an afternoon game with this Ducks team. So let's talk. So Ducks 4-1 start, matches the best in team history, and expecting this to fall apart at any moment. When we talk about these teams moving forward, who do you want to count on? It all comes down to special teams. Now, we know what we're getting with the Ducks. 0% on the power play. They're 0 for 10 on the power play. 93.8% penalty killing. They've allowed just 1 goal out of 16. Strong defense, excellent goaltending. That's what we're going to see. We saw Miller in net for Anaheim on Friday in that 2-1 victory over the Jackets. So now we get to Monday morning, and we will be seeing Gibson, who's arguably the best goalie in the NHL. You can say that now. He's arguably the best goalie in the NHL. Eddie always says Bruins won both meetings last season, 3-0 and 3-1 both under. So if you look at what's going on with this Bruins team, they kick off their home slate of games with that 3-0 victory over the Devils. They're just playing great hockey. Marchand scores his team-leading 4th goal in that contest. Silver Macco says, Jimmy, you think there's value on the... There's Ralph Jefferson in the house. Says, you think there's value on the Ducks here? I do not want to back them, but yes, if it's going to be a low-scoring game, then yeah, there's value on a plus... What are you getting? Plus 170, plus 180? I do not want to back the Ducks ever. I'm not going to back teams that aren't going to be able to get the goals that you need for victory. They're not going to get those power play goals. They're just, I expect this Anaheim team to completely be sellers at the deadline. And right now, if you're looking at this money line for the Ducks, you're getting plus one in the 180s from 175 at 169 at Pinnacle's the lowest, 188 at BetOnline is the highest. And if you wanted the Ducks plus 1.5, it's a big minus number, which I don't think we should ever do. Ever do. Eddie always says Ducks are 5-0 to the under, Bruins are 3-2 to the under. And also remember that these are afternoon games. And those of you who've played hockey know that it's just, you feel different. You don't feel quite as sharp in the afternoon. Mr. Gokster says Gibson has looked like one of the best goalies so far, without a doubt. Nice to have you in the chat, Mr. Gokster. So at this point, I do not see value. I do not see value anywhere. And with the way the Ducks are playing, if the Ducks had played Saturday night, I'd be on the Bruins right now. But they played Friday night with their backup. They're rested. They've been in Boston. They know this is a big game, and they're going to come out firing. And I'm not going to take the Bruins anymore on the minus 1.5. All right, let's move on to Wild at Senators. Wild Senators. So this has been a very interesting game. I've been spending quite a long time with this morning. And what we've seen is 6.5s come on the board. And so it's gone from 6 to 6.5, and what I think is that this is a mistake. So yes, the Wild have given up at least 4 goals in each of their first 4 games. Eric Staal -8, Parise -7, Spurgeon -7, Zuccarello -6, Kunin -6. This is a mistake to me. This is just looking at the stats early in the season. Wild are allowing 5.25 goals a game. Sens are allowing 4.25 goals a game. Boudreau is not going to let this happen. Boudreau is going to lose his shit if this continues. I mean, I bet you he already has. Those of you who watch Boudreau talk, you know the guy's got a filthy mouth, and we all love him for it. And he's going to be screaming and yelling at these guys. Dubnyk off to a bad start. Anderson off to another bad start that we expected. There's Maxwell Smart in the house. Santa spent a lot of my winnings on Ladies of the Night. I don't think I'll be eating filet mignon today. Okay. So the Senators are playing good hockey. And Nemesnikov has some hope. They have some veterans on this team. So the way I see this, and I wanted to talk it out before I made this move, is that this is the market and bettors making a mistake because this Minnesota Wild team, whom we know will be good for unders, has been terrible defensively. Working in some new players. Dubnyk has not looked good. Senators are playing tight. I mean, look, they just held the Lightning to 2 goals. So how I see this, and I'm going to go up against Eddie Euler, who's saying Wild won 4-3 and 6-4. I think everything changes today. I do not expect the Senators to score more than 1 goal. Now, my book doesn't give us team totals. And, the Senators have a 0% power play. Both teams have struggled penalty killing. What Vincent Hawkins says, I agree, Eddie, it's going over. What I'm doing is I'm going against this market move. I'm saying that this is a mistake, that you shouldn't judge a Minnesota Wild team from their first 4 games of the season. And I am taking the under 6.5 in this hockey game. Let's see what I'm getting here. Under 6.5. And I am getting under 6.5. There's a minus 110 at Bet365, and that's what I'm taking. Under 6.5 at minus 110. I know Boudreau, and I love Boudreau. And he is going to have these guys so intense. So intense. In fact, you would think that maybe the Wild are the play, and maybe they are, but they feel good about themselves. Barry McCockner saying Senators team total over 3. Everybody talking about taking the over here, and I disagree. And I'm on it. And I'm on it. So Wild Senator under 6.5 minus 110. I just feel like I know how these Wild are going to play, and I love this spot, and I love the fact that we look. So here, again, remember, when we're thinking about these totals, and if we're going to back teams to go over, you look at the power play. Now, the Wild power play is being good, 27.3 being great, and Dumba is spectacular. But look at that 0% on the Ottawa Senators, and that's what's going to push me over the top for this under. Okay, so let's move on to Panthers at Devils. Do we think that the Devils can win their first game? You know, I came so close to making a move on the Devils, but I can't do it. I can't trust these guys right now. And I know, we're getting value with them here. There's been a slight move from minus 107 from the Devils over to the Panthers. Devils opened up a 1 cent move. I just can't do it. Yes, there's value on the Devils, sure. But I can't do it. I just can't trust them yet. And when we look at what's going wrong with them, there's a lot going wrong with them. There's Arthur Meade Jr. on the house. I wagered on the over season point total of 87.5 and the season point total of 95.5 on the Panthers. Look, Gate Pass keep backing me there. That gives me, I'm very excited to hear that, and makes me very excited. Look, I've been staring at these games since 4:45 in the morning and trying to figure out exactly how we can make money here. And this, I would love, I've got futures that are all probably going to lose on the Devils, and I think that's going to be okay because I've got the Hurricanes futures. Also, another note, and we can talk about this, I guess, at the start of next year, but every year with my futures, I've got one team where it looks like I'm brilliant, and I've got one team that looks like it was the dumbest decision ever. And last year, it was the Flames making me look so good and the Panthers making me look so bad. This year, the Canes making me look so good and the Devils making me look so bad. Bobrovsky, 3.86 goals against average, 882 save percentage. I don't trust him. I've got Blackwood as the starting goalie here. Let's see. And it's Schneider. I trust Schneider more than Blackwood right now, even though I think Blackwood will take over. 0-2, 3.31 goals against average, 897 save percentage for Schneider. These Panthers scoring 2.60 goals per game, and what's the problem? So the two teams each have one giant problem that will get fixed. There's no need to panic. It's Barkov for the Panthers and Hall for the Devils. Both of them have yet to light the lamp. I believe they each are sitting at 3 assists. If you look at the Panthers still scoring 2.6 goals a game without Barkov doing anything, it's probably a good sign. It's probably a good sign for the Panthers moving forward. Ulysses Hayes went 3-0 in hockey. Love hearing that. Ulysses. Malamel says Devils being shut out and they can't score or goaltend. They will start scoring. Look, Jack Hughes, 0 points in 5 games. I expect him to step up. I expect Taylor Hall to start scoring. It looks Subban and Simmons have been held to 1 assist. They have all these new guys, and obviously whatever happened behind in the preseason did not work. He had to do more to mesh this group together. Dom reaching out says, Jim, I love what you wrote in the Miami chat about the Isles and Nassau. No, not only is it Western teams, it is in general. Only way it becomes a play-on like we did last year is if the Isles are in the hunt January, February. I agree with that completely, Dom, and thank you for mentioning that. And we'll get into that in the next game, Dom, but thank you for reminding me of that. Mally Mal saying hockey's becoming too easy. I love hearing that. Mally Mal. Eddie always said, took flaky Taylor Hall in my hockey pool, looking like a big mistake. I don't think it will be a big mistake. I absolutely don't think it will be a big mistake. Mally Mal went 4-0 last night in hockey. Great job, Mally Mal. Eaton. RMK said, Bobrovsky off a very good game. Quenneville stresses D when their teams are in a slump. Devils aren't scoring right now. Under is the play. I think you're right. But I just don't know if I have the balls to make that move. I think you're right, RMK. I think it's a spectacular breakdown. Panthers have lost 3 straight games. 2 in a row in shootouts. Bobrovsky's going to be back in net. Barkov doing nothing. I think you're right, but I just can't do it. So I'm going to stay off of this spot. I would love to do both of those things. I would love to take Devils, love to take the under, but I've got to be so tight. Jim Rami says Bruins -1 to -105, but this price is long gone and didn't last long. It did not. Corey Simmons coming in with his action. Minnesota money line, Islanders money line, New Jersey money line. Oilers money line. I'm going to copy and paste all of that right now. Sorry, copy and paste all that right now. There we go. Look at this Devils, 1.80 goals per game, 4.2 goals allowed, 0% power play, 50% penalty killing. They're just not in the right spots when they need to be. And what happens when that goes down? A coach gets fired. A coach gets fired. And I know it's early to say that, but there's a ton of hope for the Devils, and they're doing nothing. I love RMK's breakdown. I love it. I can't do it myself, but I think it's a sharp breakdown, and I respect it very much. All right, let's move on to the Blues Islanders and what Dom's talking about. So the last 2 years, our highest ROI angle in the entire NHL was fading Western teams when they came to Long Island, but that was predicated on the sleepy Barclays Center. 9,000, 8,000 fans, no emotion, no energy. Western teams came in and fell asleep. Islanders took advantage. Nassau's different. 14,000 people it's limited to. They're packing the place. It's a fun old barn. Teams get excited to play there. They see the rafters filled with the Islanders Stanley Cup banners, those spectacular teams of the 79 to 82. And they're excited to play there, as they should. Anytime you go into an old barn, I mean, if you go into Pacific Coliseum right now, you're like, man, this is exciting. I wish I could play here. And it's the same thing happening in Nassau. So I am, and you guys can, do it however you want, but I'm retiring the angle of these Western teams coming into Long Island and losing. Retiring it. There's Dutch Boy Fresh in the house. It's nice calling the under in the Rams game. Niners D's for real. Yeah, Ant Fam and I crushed that spot. There's Tabarak in the house, ready to get to work. Okay, and Flip Money says, let's go. We back eating, hit 3-team parlay. Sharks, Knights on the puck line, and Pens over first period. We cashed. Great job. Absolutely great job. All right, let's talk about this Blues. Binnington, Varlamov. Let's see if that's confirmed as we have all these afternoon games. Binnington, Varlamov, can I get a confirmation there? I'm expecting these two to be there, and no confirmation as of yet. All right, Blues, 3.40 goals per game, 3.40 goals allowed, 23.1% power play, 90.9% penalty killing. They're just a good hockey team. Ulysses Hayes taking Blues money line, Florida money line, Edmonton money line, Washington money line. Going to copy and paste that. Remember, this is how we're going to do things. We're always going to open our shows with NHL, and then we're pretty much done with it for the rest of the day because we've got other sports that are more popular that we will be hammering for the rest of the day. Blues Islanders. Blues got points in 4 of their first 5 games, and their special team. They're just a complete package. Islanders 2.2 goals per game, 3 goals allowed, 30% power play, 78.6 penalty killing, and Trotsy's had enough. And Trotsy's seen the team tighten up defensively, and he's a spectacular coach. Party Hardy, Capping Info says, atmosphere in Nassau Coliseum is electric compared to Barclays Center. Absolutely Party Hardy, and that's why we've got to cut those plays before. Ulysses Hayes saying Varlamov is a bum. Mr. Gokser says Knickerbocker Steaks Gym, Catholic Boy, the front runner. I've got to take some time and study that, but I'm excited about today's. We're going to be betting thoroughbreds as the day goes on. My account's getting a little bigger for the Big Breeders' Cup, which I'm excited about very much. Okay, Ulysses Hayes says take St. Louis. Eddie Oiler says Blues Islanders look like another possibility to go to OT. Mr. Gokster says Islanders without Zekas. And Ben Sports saying Senators for the win tonight. That's my pick. That's very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Okay, let's keep rolling. Eddie Oiler leaning Blues and the under. So both teams off Sunday. Saturday, Islanders edged the Panthers 3-2 in a shootout. Blues lost to the Habs 6-3. And, man, Berube went off on them for not being interested enough, not playing with enough intensity. You'd think that it'll show up here. Islanders opened last week with consecutive losses to the Oilers and the Hurricanes, outscored 10-4. They didn't practice Sunday, so we're expecting it's Varlamov, but we don't know who's going to be in goal. Binnington, for start of the season, stopped 32 shots in the loss to the Canadiens. I don't know if he will be in net here tonight. RMK said Coliseum had 9,000 fans. Absolute joke from a fan base whose team had over 100 points. Yeah, it's tough, but they're going to build a new arena right beside Dom's place, and we'll fill that place up. Eddie Oiler says Islanders have to get back to their under. Mr. Gokster, what a spectacular horse that is, no doubt about it. Eddie Oiler says Islanders have to get back to their underways if they want to win, lean under 5.5. Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And you think that the Blues are going to come back more defensive. I think that makes a ton of sense. And it's juiced. It opened at minus 115. It's now minus 130. I think that makes a ton of sense. All right. I think that makes a ton of sense. I think I might make that move on the under as well.
How are you?
5.5. Open at minus 115. I'm good. How are you doing? Now at minus 130.
How was your weekend?
It's good. I'm busy. I'm very busy.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Okay. These games are popping off in 34 minutes, so I've got to work. But do whatever you need to do back there. Stars Sabres next up. Bishop versus Hutton. Bishop versus Hutton. Stars Sabres. Another total of 5.5. I do think that under makes a ton of sense in Long Island. I think it makes a ton of sense. I just don't know if I can make that move. I don't like these 5.5s, and traditionally I've tried to stay away from the 5.5s. God, I think that move makes a ton of sense. The 5.5. Corey Simmons says, don't tail Ottawa. Corey Simmons, I've made my move on that game. I'm on the under 6.5. I'm on the under 6.5 there. I'm very focused on this Monday morning. Nothing going to mess with me. Nothing going to mess with me. Blues, Islanders, I think that under makes sense, but now it's juiced so much. God, is it juiced too much? God, I think that makes sense. Okay, let's take another deep dive here with the goals. Blues are scoring. See, look at these two power plays. 23.1% power play. The Islanders' penalty killing's got to step up. Islanders at a 30% power play, but the Blues 90.9% penalty killing. Ugh. I think that's a move. I think that's a move. Freestyle Fakiri says sleepy afternoon in sleepy Long Island. Yeah, I think that under makes sense. Okay, I need a confirmation in goal. That would help me. Because if it's Grice, I'm not in. If it's Grice, it's not in. Okay, you know what? Let's go back to that in a little bit. I think that's a move. Mr. Goxa says Blues are firing. I just don't feel like I need to have a quantity of plays, and I don't want to take that 5.5 at minus 120 or minus 130. But it does make a ton of sense. Okay, let's keep rolling along right now with this Bishop Hutton spot. Bishop started the year strong, but the Stars have not. Stars 2.17 goals per game, 3 goals allowed, 5% power play, 80.8% penalty killing, and a very tough start to this season. Sabres 4 goals per game, 2.60 goals allowed, 42.1% power play with this Sabres squad, 73.3% penalty killing. Rob Porwando saying tailing Jimmy on the Packers total. I'm very excited about that. Let's get it. Eberle day to day. Good call, Mr. Gogster. Eberle not expected to be in the lineup. He hurt himself on Saturday. Trotz has not told us what's going on. So the Stars embark on a 4-game Eastern road trip series that begins with a Monday afternoon matinee. Stars begin the trip back-to-back home losses. After these back-to-back home losses, they lose to Calgary 3-2 and 4-1 to Washington. They've 1 for 20 on the power play, 0 for 6 with the extra man in Saturday's loss against the Capitals, and Buffalo scoring and rolling right now. Mr. Gokster says Stars, baby. Yeah, I don't know if I can trust the Stars. I do not know if I can trust the Stars. And look, if this was minus 110 for the Blues Islanders under, I'd take it. But I don't like betting on afternoon games anyways, and I try to keep my limits down in afternoon games. Stars Sabres, I'm not sure if I'm going to make a move. Stars Sabres under 5.5. RMK says Sagan, Ben, and Radulov combined 7 points in 18 games on the road versus one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. Sabres money line. I get it. And there's DJ Big Boss in the house. All right, so those are the morning games. But we have Colorado, Washington, an afternoon game as well. Let's talk about that right now. Grubauer, Holtby's what I'm expecting. Colorado 4-0 start. Now they have a very tough test on the road against Washington. Max, no, I'm not on the Packers. Although at 3.5, somewhat appealing. I'm just on the over 45. I got over 45 minus 115 for show purposes, line shopping, SBR odds. But I bet it at 45.5. That's all I'm on tonight, Maxie. I can't wait to be on the live betting show with you this evening. And I've got some Polish vodka that was gifted to me that I will be hammering this evening. Okay, so Avs, 4 goals per game, 2.25 goals allowed, 25.8% power play, 75% penalty killing. Look at all these power play numbers that we see. Caps 24% power play. It's a really tricky time to take unders. And that's one of the reasons why I pulled the trigger on the Senators under, is that they have a 0% power play right now. And the Wild have to play different than they're playing. But look at these power plays. We're looking across the league with these power plays. So here we have the Blues. Blues, are they the only team at 90.9% penalty killing? Lamont Williams says Green Bay lose today. I love that look. Dom Ricci on the Lions and the over. Look at these. So Blues have a 23% power play. Islanders have a 30% power play. And the under 5.5 is juiced to minus 120 or minus 130. And I'm just not going to succeed long term if I make those. If it was minus 110, I'd be on it. All right, let's keep working. And you know what? I'm just, if I'm acting a little bit more intense when we're talking NHL, it's because I need this. I need us to go on a big, big run. Avalanche Caps. JT Compher has been out for 2 consecutive games with a lower body injury. Now, I know that this Avalanche team has done a little bit to help their depth, getting Kadri, but they still don't have a ton of depth in their forward lines. They're front line heavy. So when you see a guy like Compher out, you got to be a little concerned. Washington comes in after beating Dallas 4-1 on the road on Saturday. Caps are just a good hockey team. John Carlson may be the best defender in the NHL, at least offensively. Why don't we just leave that at that? 1 goal, 1 assist against the Stars, 4 multi-point games in 6 games, leading all defensemen in scoring. Kuznetsov is angry. He's angry because he got suspended for coke, and he's showing everybody what he can do. Kuznetsov would have been a great hockey pool pick this year because you were getting an angry, focused player. And I did not take him in the hockey pool. Rod Zawacki like in Washington on the money line. Eddie Oiler says balls of steel to take those unders. Right now, it's making me uncomfortable to take those unders. Avalanche, Capitals, Grubauer, Holtby. This is a tough spot. Avalanche coming into Washington. Washington rested. When was the Avs last game? It was the Avs last game was Saturday? Yes, they beat Arizona 3-2 in overtime on Saturday. I like the Capitals here. I think the Capitals send this upstart team a message. But, the Avalanche are a very dangerous squad that you don't want. But minus 23, I like that. I think the Caps teach these. You know what? If we know that Colorado is a very good hockey team, but we're also dealing with these Caps coming back, right? They were just in Dallas. I can't do that. I can't do that. If the Caps were more rested, I would back them. I just can't take them after Saturday in beating Dallas and then coming in. I can't do it. Corey Simmons also took Packers minus 3 in the game under. Oh no, that scares me. I think there's going to be enough offense to get over this low total at 45, but that scares me. David Morrissey loving Detroit and the over. All right, so I'm not going to take the Capitals. I can't. I don't feel like we have an advantage. I think that the quantity of plays in the NHL should sort of go down a bit, especially early in the year. And if there's not a distinct advantage, then we shouldn't make the move. Eddie Oiler leaning Avs. Washington won both meetings last season. And the arm case is exactly Jimmy. Can't trust Washington off a road trip here. Okay, and you know what? If it's boring to only make one bet, then it is what it is. We have to be winners. We have to be winners. Oilers, Blackhawks. Edmonton opened the season 5 straight victories. They look very good. I'm expecting Crawford to be in goal for the Blackhawks. They are expecting. That's ridiculous. Give Lehner the keys to the truck. Lehner is the team that can now. Blackhawks have started 0-2-1. Remember, my very last play right before the season started was the under 89.5 points. I like that a lot. So this team has come. These Oilers have come from behind. Eddie Oiler, nice calling that Eagles over. Yeah, that was my 2-unit spot. We're going to start smashing in NFL. This is the time of year when we do it, and I don't know why I've been hesitant to add a couple extra plays like I did last night, because all those leans were all cashing. All right. Ronnie Christie liking the over in 6.5. This is the one game where we will get to know if Lehner's in goal. Because if Lehner's in goal, this is a night game. We don't need to worry. It can happen late. If Lehner's in goal, we hammer it. If Lehner's in goal, maybe we take I shouldn't say hammer. Let me take that back. If Lehner's in goal, maybe we take the Blackhawks. Maybe. But do you want them? I mean, at this point, with the way the Oilers are playing, and you know this isn't going to last forever, but you want, and look at the Blackhawks have been 20-cent move towards the Blackhawks. Thank you, Omar J. Legend, my friend. Remo says, Oilers rolling. They played Chicago tough when they suck. They're actually good this year, and Chicago sucks. Yes, I like that. Dav Fenn, yes, we have daytime hockey. Daytime, and Mr. Ghost says, looks like Crawford. God, I would not take Matt Randall says Packers for Adams. Detroit will be focusing on stopping the run, while Green Bay will try to run with Jones after his performance last week. I see lines here. So do I. And Blackhawks minus 106 stood for 2 minutes. Wow, Jin. Ulysses Hayes says fade Blackhawks. I mean, that's what I was saying off the top of the year. But I'm telling you, Lehner could be a real difference maker for this squad. 5-1-2. I don't know how they'd go with Crawford, Gokster. Lehner 5-1-2, 1.86 goals against average, 8 career games against the Oilers. Blackhawks, Kane, Kane just doesn't have enough help. Gustafsson, the only goalie playing very well right now. Franklin Gonzalez says, Jimmy, why don't you like Green Bay tonight to cover the 3? I don't believe it's 3. Is it 3? I thought it was 3.5. There is a 3 on the board. There's a 4 on the board. I just think it's a dangerous spot for the Packers. Okay, so that in NHL right now, I've made one move and one move only. I'm on the under 6.5, going against the market move, Minnesota, Ottawa. Let's talk a little bit about this football game, and let's talk a little bit about this baseball game. So if you guys want to talk football right now, let's do it. My record improving slowly. Man, it should have been a 6-2 weekend. Those 2 plays I didn't add were just so easy. Can you pop up the NFL record for me? Thank you, Rafa. Lamont Williams, much love to you, my friend. And did I copy and paste your plays? I didn't for some reason. Lamont, can you pop them up there one more time for me and tag me so I can see the orange? I would be very thankful. Ski Prophet says, Road Dog, 6 points or less, covering at 65%. So let's talk about this spot. Lions, Packers over 45. Why would I not back the Packers here? And maybe if it gets down to 3, I'll think about it. But no Davante Adams. So with no Davante Adams, we're going back to this. Oh, it's Monday night, so Rodgers will be a superstar because that's what he does on Monday Night Football. 300-plus yards and a passer rating of at least 104 straight Monday nights. That's the longest streak in the history of Monday Night Football. So we have no Davante Adams that we're expecting. And we've talked about the wide receivers who have to come up and step up. And, they're not guys that you trust necessarily. Valdez-Scantling's looked okay. He's looked good, sure. But then you're going to need Allison to catch balls. You're going to need... And we've seen Rodgers for years make stars out of nobody, but you'd prefer, obviously, to have Davante Adams out there. Okay, so that's the first problem. The second main problem is here you have these Lions with a ton of time to prepare. A bye last week. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, Patricia's going to be able to put together a game plan, but I don't trust LaFleur. I trust Rodgers. So there's enough... It's clear why this line's gone from 6 to 3.5 here. Also, the reason why I was initially thinking about, the under maybe has play, is because we thought on Tuesday, when I looked at the weather for this game, it was 41 Fahrenheit, which it is still, with 16 miles per hour wind. This morning, 4 miles per hour wind. How bad was that weather team? We've seen how good this Lions defense can be, and that's why we're getting this low number of 45. It's too low. It's too low to me. They went into Philly and won, but we just saw the Vikings put up 38 points against the Eagles. The Lions D looks good. Also, they had no Amendola 2 weeks ago. They have Amendola back. Yes, Aaron Jones ran for 4 touchdowns for the Packs in their win over Dallas, but we all know what's going to happen if you put 8 in the box against Aaron Rodgers. He's going to hurt you. Lamont Williams, max bet. Yes, thank you. Blackhawks and Lions, money line. Ooh, I love it. That's a fun card, Lamont. That's a great, great card. I think you're going to enjoy your holiday Monday. I like it a lot. Dirty Will says, who trusts Detroit defense without Darius Slay? Let's go over their secondary right now and talk about their secondary because that is crucial. We have to know that we have to believe that this Lions and to me, maybe 47 is too high, maybe, but and I know that this 45 is not a huge move, but God, I just don't think that these two teams on a Monday night are going to stay. And I know we've been seeing unders on all these high-profile standalone NFL games. Let's go to this Detroit secondary here. Let's take a look at him. And let's get the last note on Slay anyways. Is there no chance? Limited to a limited practice Thursday? Barring a setback, he should be on hand for Monday's rivalry game. Dirty Will, do you know for a fact that Slay won't be in the lineup? Matt Madden now says, few props for you tonight, Jimmy. Galladay over 69.5, over 46.5, longest field goal, and leaning under. All right. Guillermo, I've got some work to do, so I can't focus on the ponies. So I can't focus on them, but I'd like to get in on some action. I'd like to pick some spots and get in on some action. Rod Zawacki says Detroit going to expose the weak Packers secondary. Matt Randall says Patricia has put together a game plan against Kansas City, and every coach has followed it since. Give Patricia 2 weeks, and I expect the Lions to be ready. So do I. Manny Sanchez, I'm at work and I have to catch replay, but Boston, Ottawa, Jersey, Green Bay, and over. Love it. Manny Sanchez, thanks for stopping by. Connor Gricky got 45 at his local, took the over. I agree with that. Victor Lewis says, how are you going to take the Packers without their lead receiver against a division opponent off their bye? Maybe Victor Lou says that best. That's how, I was saying, how can you do it without Devontae and the bye? But maybe, taking this at 4.5 or 5 had to be done. And what we have to start doing now is if we're going to start rolling, then we have to start locking in more plays Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because it feels like we're rolling. Feels like we're seeing things clearly in NFL right now. Jason Kelly says Green Bay O-line, the tackle special will neutralize one of Detroit's strengths. Rodgers should have a big night at home. DX Filer says Matt Patricia is a sneaky, awful coach. Not as obvious as short order cook Freddie Kitchens, but he's bad. I agree with that. Scott says, where's Bill Butlicker with tonight's NFL football props? I'm sure Bill Butlicker, Buffalo on the beat, will be around. Ronnie Chris says Lions coming off a bye week does scare me. Barry says Green Bay cashed for me last week without Adams. They sure did. And we know what Rodgers can do with journeyman receivers. He can make them look spectacular. And Ronnie Christie says the line should be minus 6.5 in my opinion. And Eddie Euler saying, okay, so right now I'm just on the over 45. We will start with this with Teddy Covers. We'll start with this and see what he thinks. Rich G says division rivalry games trend under. Geghard A, 27-23 Lions win is my prediction. I like that score. I like that prediction. I will copy and paste this right now. Corey Seven says this will be a run game. Corey, that's what Rodgers does. He wants you to expect a run game. As any will hurt you. Sanka in the house saying Detroit and the under. Yellow Jesus says Doug Peterson guaranteed a win over Dallas next Sunday. That's exciting. Ben Sports 24/7 says Detroit only 1-1 against the spread in away games this season. Line makers know everyone was going to jump on Lions +5 when the line opened. Hence why it moved almost 2 points, taking Green Bay minus 3.5 only play. Ooh, Ben Sports, that's a great breakdown. G-Saw says Jimmy need an early game on NHL or two. Who are you going with? I'm going against the market and I'm taking the under 6.5. in the Senators Wild game. That's what I'm doing. Going against the market move and taking the under 6.5, and that's my only look. I don't like afternoon hockey. And those of us that played it know that we just weren't sharp. I don't like it. So that makes me a little uncomfortable. Attaboy. Oh, no. That was a bad ending, Max. That was a bad ending. All right, we got AM coming with his barbecue sauce titty play of the day. Euro qualifiers. Portugal money line. All right, let's lock that in right now. Portugal money line. Here we go. Yenny Toon says with Devontae Adams out, it's hard to play the over. I understand why you pick over on Packers. I don't find it hard. I love it. I love this line at 45. I love that it's moved down 2 points. Look, we know what Rodgers does with these journeymen. He's done it his whole career. Scott says if people like your lines, I'm taking over. And Sheldog says very exciting. All right. And Luis Fernando Esquez says, Jimmy, I believe this is a cashing bet. Take the Warriors today. Lakers coming from China, 15-hour trip. Warriors looking for revenge. Steph Curry and D'Lo go for 45 today. Thank you for that, Luis. I love that. And my guy Marcus thinks I'm going to lose. Oh, it says, hope you're going to lose on that underbet. I don't think I am. When I have the confidence, I know you're talking Senators game. When I have the confidence to go against these market moves, I have a pretty high percentage of hitting. It could go either way. It's an afternoon game, but I do believe. Okay, I'm on the over 45. We're going to open with that with Teddy Covers. We're going to talk a lot about that today. Eddie Oilers said, Jimmy, thought you would try this Edmonton Oilers -1.5. Look, if Crawford's in goal, Eddie, I need to know what's happening in net. We need to know. Because if Crawford's in net, yeah. I think Crawford knows he's about to lose a starting spot to Lehner. If Lehner's in goal, though, this is tricky stuff. And look at Maxwell Smart, 22 days away, ready to. Done schedule analysis for 345 teams on each of their games. Man, that's exciting. Mr. Gogster said, Trotz said they're rotating until someone takes the reins. Looks like Grice is in, Jimmy. If Grice is in, is that confirmed? God, I'd love to know if that's confirmed. 1 o'clock Eastern time. Sorry, I said this game is popping off soon, but not that soon. Grice is, look, I don't trust Grice. But he could step up. Okay. Let's keep rolling along right now, and let's talk MLB. And I continue just to get crushed in the playoffs, and my record continues just to look so awful. I guess that's why it's so crucial to succeed in other sports, because of my shit baseball record. Oh, man, it hurts to see this. Just keep losing in playoffs, and lost game 1, doubled up on the Cardinals, and just keep losing. Wow, and Alex Guerrero says one of the sharpest sports books in the world. Bet Chris, and that's the Costa Rican book offering you the Green Bay Packers -3 tonight. I'm not going to take the back. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm going to take the over, and then I'm going to study this afternoon exactly what prop bets to make, and love hearing what you guys are on. Richard Lee said, thanks, Jimmy. Just talked me on to the over 45.5. I'm excited. And here's one. Guillermo, you guys, keep an eye when Guillermo does this stuff, because my account keeps growing. And I'm going to copy and paste that. Guillermo, race 5, Santa Anita, zipper mischief. Ski Prop said, I heard the excitement leave your voice when you said MLB. Man, it's tough. It's tough. I know that the honesty and transparency is very important to this show, but God, it feels like someone punches me in the throat every time I show that record. All right, Cardinals, Nationals. Let's talk about it. 68 Fahrenheit, clear, 4 miles per hour in. Let's take a look at market moves. Alex Guerrero got the Lions at +6. God, that's great stuff. Okay, let's take a look right now at what we're dealing with. Money lines and totals here at sportsbookreview.com, SBR odds page. This total opened at 7. Over 7 was at -113. There's been a 1 cent move to the under. Strasburg and the Nats open at -119, and they're now at -127. Look at Dom Ricci, +12 units MLB last week. You were spectacular, Dom. I've been trying to retweet all your action as much as I can. Great stuff. Cardinals, Nationals, Jack Flaherty. Regular season, 11-8, 2.75 ERA, 0.97 WHIP, 196 in the third, 231 Ks, 55 walks, 25 homers. He was incredible. In the playoffs, 1-1, 2.77 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, 16 Ks, 13 innings, 2 walks, 2 homers. Let's go to Strasburg. Regular season, 18-6, 3.32 ERA, 1.04 WHIP, 251 Ks, 209 innings, and he stepped it up in the playoffs. 2-0, 2.40 ERA, 0.80 WHIP, 15 innings, 21 Ks, 1 walk, 2 homers. Now, look at the difference. We talk about unders cashing in the playoffs. Look at the difference between these teams batting from regular season to playoffs. Against righties, Cards, 245, 733 OPS versus righties regular season. In the postseason, 196, 531 OPS. Terrible. Nats, against righties, regular season, 258, 785 OPS. And even they've dropped a ton. They're down to 215 with a 644 OPS. Scott, thank you, my friend. But you guys know I'm never going to sell you anything ever in my life. But I need to make your pockets grow. And, when I'm capping baseball, it sucks because I feel like I'm not doing it. Remmo says to block out your MLB record, think of a hot coworker. It's what I do when I see my wife naked. Remmo, you get it, man. You get it. You get it, Rem Most. Okay, Nationals won all 3 games when Strasburg has appeared in these playoffs. In that deciding Game 5 of the NL Division Series, he gave up 2 home runs early in that one, settled down, got the job done. 2 starts against the Cardinals in 2019, 1-0, 2.31 ERA. This Cardinals team had Ozuna raking. He was raking all playoffs until he gets to the NLCS, and then he starts falling apart. 0 for 8 in the NLCS, but he's .318 with 3 home runs lifetime against Strasburg. Flaherty turns 24 tomorrow. Faced Nationals once in his whole career, 2018. 5 walks, 5 innings. Who cares? It was 2018. St. Louis has 4 hits and 1 run in these 2 games. Man, the Cardinals weren't an offensive juggernaut by any means. I mean, they're the lowest scoring team of the 5 NL teams to make the postseason, but they've just stopped doing anything at all. They've stopped doing anything at all. Carlos Proches take a flyer for the Nationals to win World Series, get some of that money back. You know what? I'd rather just cheer for our guy, not Flush Island, who has him at 40-1 and 30-1, than taking it here. But I'll be cheering for him. Raymond Reichart says, I think Nats win. Eddie Oler, Cards, Nats first 5 under, full game under. Dom Reach says, I have Nats in the series, but I think Cards get to them today. I'm leaning Cards, team total over, and full game over at 7. Yeah, I wonder if Strasburg could be a tiny bit vulnerable today at home when everything's going in the direction of the Nats. But, I mean, if you were going to, and Eric Nisbet says under, if you were going to take these Cardinals, you'd want a plus line. You'd want to get rewarded for fading Strasburg and the Nats at home. And do you consider plus 117 just reward? I don't. If you're going to go against, even with Flaherty on the mound, if you're going to go against this Nats team that's rolling, you want to reap the fruits of that. And Don Reed says, first time I'm not on the under first 5. First time I'm not on the under first 5. Scott says, Cards going to get one eventually, right? Keith Kaplan says, Cards blew their load in that first inning, 10 runs versus the Braves. Captain 24/7 says, Flaherty K's over 6.5. Why don't we see what our guy Teddy Covers has to say about these giant games? We have giant games in MLB, NFL, and we have that full slate of NHL that we've already broken down. Let's bring him on to the show Monday morning. Teddy Covers in the house, joining us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, how are you doing on this Monday morning?
I'm doing all right, Jimmy. I've had better weekends, but Saturday was mostly a kiss your sister weekend, and the NFL has been a little bit of a struggle for me the last couple of weeks. I'm kind of frustrated. I'm throwing out losers and picking up winners, so I'm a little bit pissed off today. But I'm all right. I'm actually made a handful of bets in college football already for next week that we can talk about at your convenience.
I love it. Well, it's a holiday, so we've got a lot of action, and I'm very, very excited to get to it. First off, what do you think about the idea, if you want to fade the Nats, you should be getting more than plus 120 to have the balls to fade Strasburg and the 2-0 Nats at home? What do you think of this total that's so low at 7? What are you thinking about this Cardinals-Nats big NLCS Game 3?
So it's one of those deals where the line is kind of telling you what the right side might be. Do you know what I mean? It's so cheap on Washington with Strasburg at home that it's sort of, I'm reluctant to back the Nats at this price against Flaherty tonight. The markets made it very clear they thought St. Louis is a very live dog today. And after losing the first 2, that doesn't surprise me. That being said, it's a Cardinals offense that's been ice cold, obviously, in the first 2 games of the series. And they're facing an ace-level hurler who's been at the top of his game here in the postseason. So I didn't pull the trigger. But the line itself and the series situation itself tells me it'd be St. Louis or nothing. Total-wise, the under, it has not been a hot-hitting series thus far, but it's not a total that I have a strong opinion on. A stronger opinion towards St. Louis than I do over-under in this one. But like I said, I didn't get the return I was looking for. I didn't pull the trigger on the Cards, but that's the way it would look tonight.
That makes sense to me, and I've just been getting crushed in the playoffs. It's so funny because I've stayed away from certain teams that would have hurt me badly, and yet I'm still losing in the playoffs. I find that somewhat appealing, that 7, to try to get over it. Raven in the Desert saying fishy. It is fishy. And I'm going to have to. Eddie Oiler liking Ducks, Bruins under, Cards, Nats under. Both those plays make sense. All right, I'm not making a move at this point on this ball game, but we will be able to talk about it again on The Late Show and hear other looks on The Late Show. So let's move on to the Monday Nighter. Teddy, when I broke this game down on Tuesday, the first audible of the week, the weather report said 41 Fahrenheit, wind 16 miles per hour. When I looked again at 18 miles per hour, when I looked this morning, 4 miles per hour. And it's so important to keep an eye on what the weather reports are coming in, because that was just, I've never really seen that big of a change. And when I saw 4 miles per hour, I decided, look, I think this is too low of a total. I know there's no Devontae Adams, but we see what Rodgers does with journeyman receivers. I know that this Lions defense has been strong, but Slay questionable. Secondary can be. Both secondaries can possibly be abused here tonight. And I know why the market's moved in Detroit's move towards Detroit. It makes perfect sense. At the 6 is ridiculous with Patricia coming in off a bye in a divisional game. But I think this total is too low, and I'm going to try to go try to reach it. So I took over 45 at minus 115. Teddy covers Monday nighter Lions-Packers. What are you thinking?
Well, let's talk total first, since that's where we started. And it's certainly two teams trending over. Lions have played 4 games. They've cashed 1 under so far this season. They're 3-1 to the over. The Packers, after 2 unders to open the season, they've flown over the total each of the last 2 weeks. They've gone over 3 straight weeks, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers kind of work out some of the funk out of that offense, particularly the second half over the last couple of weeks. Certainly the game against Dallas, was maybe the first time that the last 2 games are the first time that we've seen Green Bay make some kind of adjustments at halftime. LaFleur hasn't impressed me in that regard, certainly early in the season. But Lions have owned this series. They've won 4 straight against Green Bay. They won 3 of the last 4 at Lambeau. Remember, this was a team that didn't win at Lambeau for 20-something years, and now they kind of own the Packers on their field. They closed out last season with a 31-0 shutout in Green Bay. And even with Detroit coming off a bye, that type of loss and that type of series dominance from Detroit in recent seasons tell me this is very much a statement game for the home team. Lions came out of the bye last year under Patricia, played well, won and covered on the road at Miami. They were 3-point chalk. They won that game by 11. But we look at the schedules this season. Look at who the Packers have played, okay? Cowboys, Eagles, Broncos, Vikings, Bears. All 5 of those, certainly 4 of the 5 are playing defense. Philly's had their problems in the secondary, but they faced a bunch of good defensive foes. Compare that to the Lions. They played the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Chargers, and the Cardinals so far. I'll take the under on how defense is as good as Green Bay's that they've seen. So we not only have the Packers in quadruple revenge after losing 4 straight, including an embarrassing Week 17 loss last year. We also have the Packers as the team that has played defenses, and the Lions haven't. Both these teams have a D, but I only trust one of these offenses to move the football tonight. Give me Green Bay minus the points. I think that, in my opinion, the stronger play than the over. I'm not going to talk you out of the over, Jimmy, but it's not something that I see on my radar right now. I'm talking about a couple of pretty good defenses, and that makes me a little bit reluctant to expect a shootout tonight.
DX Filer says, Teddy, dead on. And you certainly made the move at the right time, and that's so crucial. So did you jump on the Packers at 3.5? Is that where you got him, Teddy?
Yeah, I was debating between 3.5 and 3 minus 130, and I decided to lay the 3.5. And if Green Bay wins by 3, I'll be kicking myself. Obviously we saw last week when I talked about how I got off Nevada at 2. I'm like, I laid 2.5 and I took 3, and it ended up landing right on 3, and that's perfect. Perfect scenario when you're getting off a bet. In this instance, I decided to lay 3.5 as opposed to laying the juice. So I won't be happy with the field goal result.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, but I can also understand not taking the minus 130. We're talking about long-term success, and that's just, I can understand you making the move here. The total, by the way, that 45 is gone. Pinnacle just moved it up to 45.5, and Bookmaker is now at, I think Bookmaker was actually at 46 for a while, but that 45.5, or 45, that Pinnacle had this morning is gone. We have a question coming in about NFL. Cash action bets like in Lions and the over, top set like in Detroit, first half. Rod Zawacki already took the under 47. There's Cuban Connect in the house. And question, have you taken a look at all at the NFL coming up, the NFL matches this week coming up?
Of course I have. Come on, Jimmy. It's Monday morning, man. We're ready to go. We
have a question from Alex Guerrero. Says, what the hell is up with the Chiefs and Rams lines this week? Why don't we just take a quick look? I do really want to hear your looks. in NCAA for the week coming up. But let's just take a quick look at these lines that Alex Guerrero is asking you about. Here we go. First off, Thursday nighter, Chiefs, Denver. Total is at 49. Bookmaker hanging at 48.5. Chiefs open up at -3.5. It's the same situation we have in the Packers game tonight. You can get to 3.5 at around even money, or you could pay up to -125 for the 3 at Bookmaker. What do you think of this Thursday nighter, Chiefs Broncos?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs have been money losers. My number's 4 on Kansas City. The look-ahead line was 4.5. The market's at 3.5 right now. And Mahomes isn't right, and he's on a short week. The Broncos defense just pitched a shutout. So I can tell you this is going to be a sharp score divide game. The Chiefs' defensive statistics are atrocious right now. And that's been really clear the last couple of weeks. So you can count on the public taking Kansas City. You can count on the wise guys taking the good defensive home dog on Thursday night. That's going to be a sharp square divide game. When it comes to the Rams and the Falcons, again, look-ahead line was 4. My powering number is 4. The betting markets are at 3 right now. Rams' offense is kind of broken, and we saw it in the play calling where, look, Atlanta's an unbackable team. I'm with you on that. And I can understand the case for the Rams here, after suffering the first 3-game losing streak in the McVay era and taking a big step down in defensive class. I can anticipate LA taking some money in this ballgame, maybe a fair bit of money in this game off the opener of 3. But Rams aren't right now on either side of the ball, and that's certainly not easy to. You can understand why it's not more than a field goal on the road, even against a bad team like Atlanta. I mean, LA, whatever they were last year, this year they're not that. Last year's last year. This is when you talk about mid-October power rating adjustments in the NFL, I'm not shy about moving my numbers significantly at this time of the year because guess what? Last year's gone. And right now, the Rams are a mediocre football team, laying a field goal on the road against a bad football team, which is a fairly typical point spread.
Rams look terrible. Every line I see from the Falcons looks appealing, and that's just a vividness bias. I've got to stay off of it, but my under 10.5 on the Rams season win total is going to be glorious for me. I watched that game, too. I was on the under in Rams 49ers, and that was just glorious, but I was also on the Falcons -2.5, and but going back to this Kansas City Denver game, I was watching the game with Flash. I was on Texans +5. I was watching the game, and that second time Mahomes rolled over his ankle, I was like, oh man, this is going to be such an easy casher, and everything stopped for the Chiefs in the second half after he rolled his ankle the second time, and now he has to show up on Thursday night. You want to talk about that, Teddy?
Well, I was going to say that everything stopped for the Chiefs in the second half because of their defense. Their offense went 3 and out. They never even got a chance to get in rhythm. It was a couple of third down calls that Andy Reid said after the game, I wish I could have had those back. But in between those 3 and outs, there was like an 8-minute Texas drive and then another 7-minute Texas drive. They just kept the ball out of that Chiefs offense hands, and Casey couldn't find the rhythm.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was Mahomes as much as it was situationally. They just never got the ball back. The defense couldn't get a stop. Although that could change against Joe Flacco.
I personally think when your quarterback is limping between plays and all the histrionics, they weren't on the sidelines. On the sidelines, he's cool as ice. But he's anguish in his face after plays.
Remember, the Chiefs didn't make a move for a Teddy Bridgewater in the offseason. They made a move for Matt Moore and Chad Henne. And you want to talk about an offense that's not going to work? With Matt, any game that Kansas City doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, you fade the Chiefs. Because that offense did not work and will not work with Matt Moore or any other quarterback, any backup quarterback. They don't have a Chase Daniel. They don't have a Teddy Bridgewater. They have a 15-point drop-off between their starter and their backup. They're like the Jets with Falk versus Darnold. But much greater than that even. An offense that's not going to work versus an offense that's just fine. So they can't sit Mahomes. They didn't spend money on backup quarterback.
Yeah, I find Denver quite appealing right now, but I'm going to take some time with that before.
Wait.
Yeah. I agree.
There's no rush to bet that if you like Denver. You'll find by kickoff at recreational shops, you'll get a 4 with Denver. I would think. At least, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see a 4.
Yeah,
or higher.
Without a doubt. Cuban Connect saying, Jimmy, what you see on the Oilers-Hawks game, Hawks with Crawford are a fade. Hawks with Lehner are very interesting. And so I need to find out who's in goal for the Hawks. And AM asking what the hockey what hockey I'm on. Afternoon games make me uncomfortable. And I'm going against the market move. And I'm taking the under 6.5 in the Senators game. And I really, really like it. If it was a night game, I'd be so confident. The only concern is afternoon game. But I love going against this market move. When people, I think, are making a mistake on the Wild after 4 games, that's no sample size to make a mistake on. Boudreau's going to have them playing tight defensively. All right, let's get into NCAA football. And, man, I was bad. I just bad this weekend. And my record is paying the consequences. I went 3-6 and started 2-1. And then, God, the decisions, the moves I didn't make, of course, it was just one of those days that upset me. Can we pop up that NCAA football record? Ugly. Now 51-53, down 6.3 units. Disappointing. So let's get to work right now. Let's pop up with Teddy Covers and see what jumped out at you. You've said you've already looked and made some bets. We would love to hear them. What is the games that jumped out at you when you took your first look at this card, Teddy?
Sure, I got to do my recap too, though, Jimmy. I went 3-4 with the plays I gave on the show on Friday, and it's freaking frustrating. That Oregon-Colorado game made me so nuts, dude. I was raging on Friday night, and I don't get that way very often, but I had a big bet on that over. And of course, Oregon did everything they were supposed to do, and Colorado would get to the 10-yard line and throw 4 incomplete passes. It was really frustrating that over 59 didn't get there. Texas was good. Iowa State was good. The Washington Huskies was good. Eastern Michigan had it and then lost it at the end. Houston, oh my God. If you watched the last 2 minutes of that game, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you're just going to see the final score. But Houston was in position to get the money at plus 7.5. They missed a 2-point conversion. We had a missed 2-point conversion all over the place. But to be down by 8, and then they had Fumble Ruski on the last play to give a 15-point margin. That was frustrating. Fresno was wrong. I had a wrong side. And Fresno was not the right side in that game. I was impressed with how Air Force bounced back. When it comes to looks, the early looks for this week. So you got to recap. You have to go back. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? What did I get unlucky with? And not like Eastern was a right side, but that was a coin flip game, and I was on the wrong side of that coin flip. I don't even know if that was probably a 40% play. It wasn't a dead nuts wrong play. It wasn't at Fresno, for example. So I don't beat myself up over an Eastern the way I beat myself up over a Fresno. When it comes to the stuff that I bet, again, the stuff that I'm getting down on immediately, Sunday night / first thing Monday morning has everything to do with where the line's moving. I had 14 games that I circled last night. Hey, man, you're interested. Let's watch these numbers. And ended up making 6 bets out of the 14 because those are where the numbers are moving right now. And we'll see what happens with the rest. I played Duke plus 4. That's gone. It's 3.5 now. Virginia's offense is not good. I tried. We saw it again. And all Duke has done is overachieve. So I thought the Blue Devils plus the 4. That's betting number 317. I believe it's the first game on the Saturday card. I'm riding Central Michigan. There's 2 teams I'm riding. We've talked about. And I played them both off the opener. I played Central Michigan minus 10. That's betting number 335. They covered again against New Mexico State. And I covered Iowa State. That's betting number 401. I bet Iowa State. Betting number 401 minus 6. I thought there was a decent chance that'll go to 7. Central is already up to 10.5. So, again, Duke plus 4, Central minus 10, Iowa State minus 6. Betting number 372. I bet Wazoo minus 13.5. I thought there's a decent chance this goes up to 14 or higher. Colorado's a banged-up mess. Maybe their offense plays better than it did last week. Their defense isn't going to get stops against Wazoo. I think it's a really tough matchup for the Buffs, and I think it's a get-right spot for Mike Leach's kid. So I laid 13.5 with Wazoo. I laid 1.5 with Northern Illinois, betting number 363. I thought that was really cheap against Miami. My market number and the mainstream market number for Miami are really different. They got blasted at Western last week, and I'm like, my number was really cheap compared to the market number, or my number on Western was much higher. And I'm continuing to see a disparity between my numbers and the market numbers. Northern Illinois has always been a bet-on road team. in recent years, and I think they're better than Miami are. I laid 1.5 with the Huskies. And last but not least, you guys are going to love this one. And I did it. I laid it because I saw money coming at penny on the favorite. I don't know if I'm going to hold it, but I laid -3 with Rice. Rice is going to get a win this year. They're not going to go winless, and this is the team they're supposed to be. This is the team they're better than. They're off a bye. It's if you're asking a bad team to do something, this is the right time to ask a bad team to do something. It's a Rice spot, and Rice is a better team, and I laid 3 with a winless foe on the road. I did it. What's that? Has that number moved? Yeah, the last I saw it was 3, and it was 3 minus. I was 3 minus in a couple spots. That's betting number, by the way. Rice is 4.15, and look at that. It's already moved to 3.5. So I'm glad I got down. Good. I saw the markets moving, and I'm grabbed it. So I got the best of the number on that one. But you can still find 3s right now if you are willing to lay a field goal with a team like Rice on the road. Of course, when you're playing a team like Texas San Antonio, you can understand why you might want to lay a field goal with a team like Rice coming off a bye and the one winnable game they have, yada, yada. But this is Rice's game.
I love it. Thank you for sharing your 6 looks. Duke +4, Central Michigan -10, Iowa State -6, Washington State -13.5, Northern Illinois -1.5, Rice -3. God, what a treat it is to hear your looks after surveying the card over the weekend. Very exciting. If you have questions, start rolling them in, and we have them coming in fast and furious. Yeah, and you're right. When I say I went 3 and 6, I mean, everyone can see what I did on Twitter. But going over it, I did jump on that UNLV Vandy under that you liked. That was a great call, and that was a nice, easy win. I did lose with Eastern Michigan and Fresno State as well. I won with Bama and LSU, and that was fortunate. Missouri won by 11, and I had them at -11.5, and that was very frustrating. Very frustrating spot there. And then Wake Forest was clearly, a mistake against Louisville. And then my late 2 games that I thought I was again. I can't believe I keep doing it. I'm saying no Pac-12, no Pac-12, but I took Arizona plus the points late, and at the half, I'm sitting there feeling good about myself. And then I was also on Wyoming plus 3.5. And if I had got the better number of 4, that would have been a push. And that was my mistake, taking it late, feeling like there was a good spot. So that's my review. Very disappointing. And saw a lot of guys eating. Big Ragu absolutely destroyed the NCAA card. Nice. And very disappointing. Okay, we have questions coming in fast and furious. Let's start with Sue's 387. Says, Teddy, Hawaii versus Air Force over this week? ? Or do you think Air Force burns the clock?
So the very first reaction was to this game was like, oh my God, this isn't over. And then my second reaction was, wait a minute, how many drives are there going to be in this game? And I started looking at some Air Force Hawaii recent series history, and I'm like, geez, you can see why this total isn't where it is. This drive, it's going to have 7 drives in this game. And Air Force is going to have to score touchdowns on all of them. So my initial lean was absolutely towards the over. And now, once I did some initial work on the game, I'm like, geez, the offensive efficiency is going to have to be through the roof here. Still lean that way. But at first look last night when I was examining this game, it was one of those that, oh, wow. Oh, this is why. So I wasn't quite as excited about it as that first lean. It's on the list. I made the list. But it's not anything that I was like, I got to pull the trigger on this right away. I was definitely concerned about the Falcons just slowing this game down, where it's in a 7-minute drive followed by the 8-minute drive, and then you kick a field goal, and then your over's dead,
I hear that. That's a very interesting take. And Suze387 saying, I just don't know if Air Force can stop the pass. We've got time to break down these games all week long. Although, as you saw with my action last week, you do got to get ahead of these market moves. Next question from A. Hill. He says, Jimmy, can you ask Teddy about Arkansas and Auburn? Rotation number 391, 392. Arkansas at 18.5. There's 18s at some books. Let me get to spreads and totals here. at sportsbookreview.com and the SBR odds page. Here we go. Auburn, Arkansas. No total yet, of course. What am I thinking? Plus 18.5 right now for the dog. What do you think here, Teddy? Arkansas, Auburn.
Yeah, we have totals at one book here in Vegas. The Circa puts them out as 54.5 as their opener, but I've seen their totals be 6 points off the market at times, and nobody bets them until somebody else opens up. And they're like, all right, bet this here, bet that there. They don't get a ton of action. I don't have a strong opinion on the total. I'm not convinced that Arkansas is going to be able to move the football against this defense. I like the concept of Auburn coming off a bye and a loss, but laying this price on the highway is not something I'm very comfortable doing with a Tigers team that's been a little bit limited offensively. Probably not a game I'm going to get involved with.
Probably not a game you're going to get involved. Fatfish saying over 1.5 goals first period. Bruins, Ducks. I would need way more than minus 105 to. This is going to be Gibson and Halak. It's going to be tight defensively. No, I would not take that Fatfish, and I would not take the under juice the way it is either. I would. Afternoon game, I would just kind of stay off that. I know it's a boring answer. I apologize. Okay, we have questions coming in fast and furious from Christopher Comatini. Our guy Comatini says, does Teddy like Arkansas State plus 5.5 versus ULL?
So that line stood out like a sore thumb to me. My number came, I think it was 1. I was way off. I might have even been pick 'em. Let me just check that. But I remember, I'm like, wow, they're really respecting the Raging Cajuns. I was surprised at that number. Yeah, my number came pick 'em. The only way I would look is Arkansas State. But when my number's that far off from the market number, that's not one that it's one thing if it's a couple points off. All right, hey, my opinion is different. When I'm 6-7 points off from the market, all right, what am I missing? And you start to look at the defensive stats. You're like, okay, only one of these two teams can get stops. And that's why this number is where it is. Really dramatic defensive disparity between these two teams. And that does concern me about the home dog in this one, even with their offense being as potent as it is.
Questions coming in next from our guy Casano Magic. Casano Magic talking about. Okay, we've already talked about the Air Force Hawaii game. So I'll get the rotation number for your next game quickly. But first off, Eddie Euler saying Teddy SMU over again. They are 6-0 to the over.
Yeah, what was that? There was an interesting game. Who they playing? Because they had a game that stood out to me. Give me 1 second.
No worries. My fault. I don't have all the rotation numbers.
Of course, it was Temple. Yeah, it was Temple. And I was wrong. That's one that I was wrong about. I was like, I don't think that Temple can do it. And I'm like, Temple correlates with under against Memphis. And that wasn't the case. Temple and over against Memphis. That offense was good enough to move the football against. It was as good as I've seen Temple's offense play all year. I was impressed with what they were able to do. And SMU is not loaded defensively. That's not who they are. They're, they are a Dykes team. They are going to. I wouldn't talk you out of any SMU over. I'll just leave it at that, even against a team like Temple. But because I was wrong about Temple's MO last week, it's one that I need to think about and examine, figure out, okay, did I miss the defense that Temple was playing again, or is this offense as good as it is, as good as they looked? Because Temple's offense hadn't impressed me, and it definitely impressed me this past Saturday. And if they can do that at SMU, they can cover, and the game will go over the total.
Go over the total. And next up, we have, and this was Casano Magic's next question, was about rotation number 395, 396, Tulane, Memphis. Memphis minus 4.5. We just talked about the Temple-Memphis game. What do you think Memphis does against Tulane this week?
So Tulane is officially a team that I have no interest in stepping in front of right now. My number's 4. Tulane is whipping some teams. And one thing that, when they've gone back-to-back weeks against teams that couldn't handle their athleticism defensively, and now they're facing a team that can, which is probably a negative. It's just like if you face the Dolphins every week and then you face a real team the next week. That can be a problem. But it's a team that has very much impressed me in early season play, and I'm really not in any rush to step in front of them.
Understandable. Daniel Kim liking Tulane +4. Guru Sports Bet says Temple's my favorite home dog in the country. The next question is from our guy Gary Wyatt. He says, "Hey Jimmy, I'm liking Ole Miss to cover against Texas A&M. Could you ask Teddy about it? Rotation number 393, 394. Texas A&M, Ole Miss. Texas A&M opening at -5.5 at -120. Now 6s across the board. What do you think of this spot?"
So I talked about some of the bets that I made. I didn't talk about the bets that I didn't make. Because the numbers aren't there. I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this side, but let's see where the number moves. One of the ones I was thinking about was A&M against Ole Miss, and I didn't pull the trigger, and the 5.5 went to 6, and the 5.5 to 6 is going to kill me. I mean, even at 6.5, if I decide that the Aggies are the right way, I'll pull at 6.5. If it gets to 7, that'll be obviously, okay. Well, I missed that one, but I know you're coming off Bama and a disappointing loss to Bama, but there were a lot of, for as disappointing as that was, there were a lot of positives for A&M in that game. Notably, that Mons actually faced a good defense and didn't screw up 100 times, which is a positive sign. I like the Fisher quotes after the game. I like the way the Aggies' attitude after the game, and I think they're a good notch or two better than their opponent. I really do. So my lean was towards the Aggies minus as opposed to the Rebels plus, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. That being said, it made of the 14 games, that was one that did intrigue me.
Do you think Louisville can stay within 24 against Clemson Saturday morning?
No. Louisville's defense isn't going to stop Clemson, and I mean they're really not going to stop Clemson. And Louisville's offense. Go take a look at their strength of schedule and find me a defense that resembles Clemson. There isn't any. I don't want the dog in that one.
It's 33.5, too many points for Oklahoma against West Virginia.
No strong opinion. I mean, when we start getting into the 4 and 5 and 6 touchdowns, I don't make a lot of spread ranges. I don't make a lot of bets there. You can't love the spot for Oklahoma coming off Texas. There was some things I really didn't like about this. I understand that I was fairly lucky to get in through the back door with the Longhorns. That being said, I'm not sold on Oklahoma. I'm not, of these upper echelon teams, the one that, and they were saying, oh, the announcers, oh, look at this defense. That defense is great.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on this. Of the elites, Oklahoma to me is the one that's a step down, and maybe on both sides of the football. I understand their numbers are ridiculous. They put up huge yardage numbers, huge edges in every game, even against Texas, which means that they're going to be an overvalued commodity. So I guess if I had to play it, but let's see what's going on with the West Virginia quarterback situation. We don't even know the status yet. So that's something that we have to pay attention to over the course of the next couple of days. But I know I won't be laying it with Oklahoma this week, and I doubt I want the Mountaineers.
Lockin 24/7 has a question for Teddy. Says, can you ask Teddy if they think rotation number 375, 376, if Kentucky can stay within 24.5 against Georgia? Georgia coming off that shocking loss this past weekend. What do you think about Kentucky staying within 24.5?
So it's a fascinating game. It really is. I want to see what I can get. I don't want coaches' quotes. I want to see some player quotes out of Georgia this week. One of two things are going to happen. Either Georgia's going to come out flat as a pancake, or Georgia's going to smack this team 59-0. And it's either one is capable of happening. It's not so late in the season. Once you get into November and a team suffers their first loss and now they're out of it, those are teams that you're very reluctant to back the next week. But Georgia's not there yet, and if Georgia wins out, all their goals are they're still capable of accomplishing every single goal. So I'm not convinced that it's a stick of fork in Georgia time yet. And again, they played a really crappy game, particularly on the offensive side of the football. Let's give South Carolina some credit. Back-to-back games, the Gamecocks have been impressive on both sides of the ball. Maybe they're a team that we should be giving credit to as opposed to ripping Georgia. But certainly, and the one thing, because it hasn't happened so much with Alabama and Clemson, everybody gets tested. Clemson's been tested. Alabama's going to face a test somewhere. Georgia faced a test, and they failed it. They got a chance to undo it, and they failed it again in overtime. They got a chance to undo it, and they failed it again in double overtime. That happens. But player quotes are what matters this week, not coaches' quotes. That's what I'm interested in looking for and researching for Georgia. Right now, I have no opinion on the game. I wouldn't be surprised, again, if they kill them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a battle. Kentucky's not very good, which is something of a concern here. Certainly not on the offensive side of the football.
We have Eddie Euler saying, Teddy, Oregon now 1-5 to the under with that D. Lean under in Washington, in rainy Seattle. 12th ranked Oregon, rotation number 367, 368 against 25th ranked Washington. Oregon at -3, and I don't have the total on any of these online books at this point.
53.5.
Okay. Do you think we can get under that?
At one book. I wouldn't play it over. Washington is not an over team. Okay. And recent meeting, 3 of the last 4 meetings between these two teams, Oregon hasn't gotten into double digits. My initial lean was towards the Huskies as the value in this side. I don't know if I get there or not. And at 2.5, I didn't want to pull the trigger. I knew I expected it to go to 3. It's already at 3. Let's see what it does from here. But my initial lean is Washington, and Washington correlates with under, most assuredly. I don't know if I get there. Even with the Huskies' blowout win, it's a blowout second half against Arizona. There's something about that team that doesn't. I'm not convinced they're right. I'm just not. And I can't put my finger on it. It's like Eason. Maybe Eason hasn't gelled with his teammates in the appropriate way. Is coming over as a transfer. I really don't know what it is with Washington. I lean there, but I'm not going to get the window. Under makes a ton of sense. Sorry, I'm babbling on a game. Sometimes it helps me. I talk a game out. I'm talking it out and thinking about it, talking it out, thinking about it. So, but sometimes that I'll go on, and that'll waste your time. So I apologize. It's a game I'm clearly still thinking about, but I wouldn't talk you out of the under at all.
Kevin Tantillo says, what is Teddy's opinion on the Baylor game? Rotation number 389, 390, Baylor, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State opening at -3.5 at +107. So all the other books are at 3, -105 or -110 between that. What are you thinking, Baylor, Oklahoma State?
So Baylor's going to lose a game. Baylor's going to lose several games. They're good. They're not great. They're flying high. This is the game they're coming off a rested opponent, off a loss. This is the game Baylor's supposed to lose. It just is. The problem is I continue to get underimpressed with Oklahoma State. I'm not excited about that team. My powering number is only 3, even with them coming off a bye. And that's the most I would lay here, would be 3. And as you talked about, the market's already moving to 3.5 and beyond on that game. So again, it's a game that Baylor's probably supposed to lose. But the price isn't the price I was hoping for. Especially, Baylor's defense is real. Their offense isn't, but their defense is pretty darn good, and not always easy to lay to win by margin against a team with a strong defense.
We have Prince of the City and Top Set, both liking Michigan. 421, 422, rotation number 16 ranked Michigan, 7 ranked Penn State, both liking Michigan at +9. What do you think here?
I don't think I'm going to get to the window with Michigan at +9. I don't like this matchup for the Wolverines, and it's time to, and again, we're mid-season. Teams are what they are now, and Michigan is not a good offensive team. They're not. And to see them fall asleep with a big lead in Illinois, and then all of a sudden now you're life and death to win the game, and if the Illini with their backup quarterback don't screw up, the defense doesn't make a couple plays, they could have lost that game. There's been too many lifeless periods for the Wolverines on the highway. We saw it in Champaign, we saw it in Wisconsin, and in Madison, and we see that in Happy Valley. Penn State will run them out of the gym, run them off the field. That's a strong home field. That's not a strong. You talk about home fields in college football that means something. Happy Valley at night means something. I'm probably not going to get there with Michigan. I know I'm not going to get there with Michigan. At the right number, I'll get there with Michigan, but not at 9.
Hot at 9, looking for more. What a treat it is to have Teddy Covers here every morning, Monday to Friday at Betting with the Bag. He shared with us his early looks, where he got to the window. Teddy, Duke +4, Central Michigan -10, Iowa State -6, Washington State -13.5, Northern Illinois -1.5, and Rice -3. Teddy Covers, what a treat it is to roll with you, and can't wait to hear. And I need to step my game up. I don't know if I lost focus or what exactly was going on last week, but it's not going to happen this week. I'm going to be focused, and that kind of the edge of anger is a good edge, I think. It keeps you sharper and keeps you more focused, and I'm going to be using that all week long. Follow Teddy Covers on Twitter. All low baggers follow him. He's a great follow. Teddy_Covers, very active, especially on the weekends. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us on this Monday morning. Let's have a big week.
Don't get mad, Jimmy. Get even. Love it, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to a big week myself. I could use one. This, one game under. No. Let's go pound something this weekend. I'm with you, brother.
I love it. I feel good. I'm pumped. Thank you so much for joining us, Teddy Covers. There he is, Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. All right, we have afternoon hockey popping off in, half an hour, right? Is it 1 Eastern these games are popping off? So in half an hour, we have NHL, and I am taking that under, going against the market move. That's my only look. The afternoon game scares me, and it's imperative that I have a giant season. So Mally Mouse says take Ottawa. I will take the under 6.5, and that's my only look, although I do find this Blackhawks game tonight very appealing. We got great stuff on the Late Show. We have both Drew Martin and the Big Ragu in the house. Drew Martin and Big Ragu joining us. So going to be talking college football. Big Ragu coming off a spectacular weekend for our Big Ragu. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Good start to the week. We need a big week. Much love to all you guys. Get in the black. Let's start in the profit from these afternoon NHL games. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you north of the border. But most importantly, Leche. Those bookmakers.